Hello everyone! Today I'm going to discuss the self from the perspective of psychology. But first, I am Micaela Ruti Hilario, your today's reporter. Before I start this lesson, I want you guys to stop and think about of these questions. So, number 1, how do you describe yourself? Number 2, do you think a word will suffice who you are as a person? If you have already the answers, kindly drop your answers in the chat box. At bago tayo magsimula, ito ang mga questions that we need to ponder at the end of our lesson. Number 1. Why are there many versions of self in psychology? Number 2. What role do individual differences play in the determination of self? What is psychology? Psychology comes from the ancient Greek roots psyche, which means mind, while logos, it means knowledge or study. Therefore, psychology is the scientific study of mind and behavior. Psychology also includes the study of conscious and unconscious phenomena. It includes the feeling and thoughts.
Psychology is about what you think, what you feel, and what you do. They all link together, like a train track that goes in a circle, and each part is its own train station.
And to correct some of misconceptions, taking psychology won't make you read mind or the future. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, psychology is the scientific study of mind and behavior. Pinag-aaralan po at hindi hinuhulaan or hindi manghuhula. Moving on, let's go to William James. William James is an American philosopher and psychologist. He is a professor of psychology and philosophy at Harvard University. He is one of the great pragmatists, and he also have a theory which is theory of the self. He also wrote a book entitled The Principles of Psychology. So William James theorized the component of self, the me and the I self, and he called it as the concept of self. So as you can see, ito yung concept ni William James sa me and I self. Number 1, all humans' thoughts are owned by some personal self. Number 2, all thoughts are constantly changing or are never static. Number 3, there is continuity of thoughts as its focus shifts from one object to another. Number 4, thoughts deal with objects that are different from and independent of consciousness itself. And lastly, number 5, consciousness can focus on a particular object and not others. So para hindi kayo maguluhan, let me explain the I self and the me self. So, what is the difference between me and the I? So, the I self. The I is a part of ourself that knows who we are and what we have accomplished in our life. So, alam natin kung sino tayo, yung ating thinking, yung acting, and yung feeling natin is a self, and also everything in our mind is the I self. So also, the I self is our pure ego. Like what I said kanina, everything in our mind is the I self. And it comprises the totality of the person's identity. Kumbaga, kilalang kilala natin ang ating sarili. The me self. Me self refers to the experience of self. So it is our personal experiences. For example, the gifts were sent to me. Second, the person is smiling at me. So ayan, James called the me as the empirical me. So bakit? According to him, the empirical self is helped to consist of the material self. So sabi niya, lahat ng materyales na nakikita natin ay pagmamay-ari ng ating mga sarili. So moving on, The me self is divided into three components: the material self, the social self, and the spiritual self. So let me discuss those. The material self. So the word itself, material. So mga bagay o mga pagmamay-ari natin na naka-entitle sa atin. For example, the body, our body, pamilya natin, mga damit natin, at mga pera natin ay pagmamay-ari natin. So, social self, dito naman is it refers to the person is in a particular social situation, plus the changes in behavior usually result from the different social situations that the person finds himself in. So, dito sa social, tinutukoy kung paano tayo makikisalamuha or nakikisalamuha sa other people, and it depends sa situation na napapasukan natin. Lastly, the spiritual self. So, spiritual self refers to the self that is more concrete or permanent when compared to the material and social self. So, it means na dito sa material and social selves, yung spiritual self is walang makakatalo sa sa paniniwala natin kay Lord. Kaya ko siya nasabing concrete kasi I do believe na walang makakatumbas na kahit anong materials or mga kahit anong things sa paniniwala natin kay Lord. So, the spiritual self is the most subjective and intimate part of the self. It always engages the process of introspection. So, bakit madaming other selves? In psychology, madaming version. Remember, psychology is the study of human mind and behavior. So, it needs to be rich in concepts and ideas. So, hindi lang pwede na, kaya ganito yung ugali niya kasi ganyan. So, ganito yung hindi pareho ng ugali niya kasi iba yung kinagisnan niya, ganon. So, pinag-aaralan siya mabuti ng mga psychologists where those behavior came from, and then hindi lang siya basta-basta kasi pinag-aaralan siya mabuti. And then remember, hindi pare-pareho yung mga attitude or behavior ng mga tao. Kaya here in psychology is madaming version ng self kasi hindi ka pwede makontento sa isa lang, hindi ka pwede makontento sa parang kapareho lang kasi iba't iba yung perspective ng mga tao at iba-iba yung perspective or yung kumbaga yung behavior ng mga tao na pinag-aaralan nila. Hey guys, it's your girl Micaela Ruti Hilario, and I hope you learned something from my lesson and what I have discussed. So, thank you for listening guys. Bye-bye!